This is the Book Deal Podcast,
where you will discover the inspiring stories of the authors behind your favourite books.
No matter what stage of writing you are at, we've got you covered. I'm Tina Strachan.
And I'm Madeleine Cleary, and join us as we pull back the curtain of published authors.
One deal at a time.
The Book Deal Podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and waters which it's recorded on, and pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging.
Welcome, everybody, to this very special episode of the Book Deal Podcast. It is our 1 year anniversary. Woo! There's all three of us here, myself, Tina Strachan, and Madeleine Cleary, and Natasha Rai.
Yay!
And we're all here to have a very special episode to celebrate 1 year of the pod.
We're having a party on a Monday night, and I've got my cup of tea.
Yeah. You've got tea.
Hopefully someone has wine, at least one of us.
What have you got, Tash?
I've got water, sorry. I know.
Look, I tried. I even have a non-alcoholic margarita. I even put salt on the rim and everything just to make it feel a little bit more special.
We were going to do like a little champagne, weren't we?
We were.
Do that next time. All right. Yeah, to do.
We'll save it for in person when we do an in-person one. So this is so special. I can't believe it's been a year already. So we're super excited, and we thought what we might do to celebrate is to have a little reminisce over the year that has been. We've had lots of amazing guests on the pod and lots of amazing discussions, and we wanted to pull out. Each of us has chosen some of our favourite quotes or interviews and guests that we've had. But first, I just want to say thank you to Madeleine and Natasha for being incredible co-hosts on the Book Deal Podcast. Couldn't have done it without you. It's been so super fun, and I feel very privileged to have been able to spend the last year getting to know you girls and just chatting away. And it's still a bit. It still blows me away that people actually listen, and I often just love just chatting to you ladies anyway. So it's just kind of cool that we record it and people get to listen to it as well.
I agree.
So thank you, ladies.
This has been so much fun, and I'll never forget. And I think Natasha was on the call as well when you announced to our debut crew, we're all on a Zoom, that you were going to start a podcast. And I remember feeling so incredibly jealous. I was like, oh, do a podcast as well. So I think I messaged you that night and said,
I think it was about 3 seconds later.
Would you accept a tag along? And Natasha, you have a funny and interesting story about that too, don't you?
Yeah, it's so funny because, and I just want to say before I tell you, I'm so grateful that I'm a recent addition to the team. So
not
thank
that
you for
recent
having
now.
Me. Not that recent now. Yeah, you're right. But it was so funny because when you asked me if I would consider kind of hosting maybe one episode a month, I was like, yes, because literally that night when Tina, you said you were going to host a podcast, I was like, oh my God, I should get in touch with her. And then I didn't because I was, as per usual, scared and shy. And then you two announced it and I'm like, damn it, I could have done it. I should have done it. But anyway, here I am now.
So. Here
you kept that a secret as well. Like, we're obviously good friends. You never told me that until I said, would you like to come on?
I know. Well, because it felt a bit churlish to be like, no, I wanted to do that. So, yeah.
Well, it all ended in the right thing. I think the three of us, it's been so much fun. I think that's been the joy and the highlight for me in the last couple of years in getting to know the industry is this podcast. And I think about it as well. In the last year, we've between the three of us, we've published 4 books in that time as well. Mm-hmm. So we've also started a podcast during probably some of the busiest times of our lives too.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I cringe now to think and look back on some of our early episodes and wonder, I haven't listened back, but I'm just imagining if I think I'm going to cringe now, what would it be like in sort of 3 to 4 years when we listen back on all our anxieties and concerns and thoughts?
No, I think that those are all actually beautiful reminders of where we were or are in our journey. Because, like I was thinking about this the other day, I was having a chat to a friend and I was talking about, worrying about my second manuscript, etc. And they were like, did you just hear what you just said? And I'm like, I know. 2 years ago, I was so worried about getting published, full stop. And here I am going, oh, what's going to happen with my second one? And when should I submit? And it's so interesting and exciting how things move on and how our, maybe not worries, but focus changes. So I think those early episodes, if you listen back to them, they're just going to be beautiful reminders of where you were, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so nice to have the whole debut crew, and we've still got 6 months left, right, or 5 months left of the year, where we get to celebrate the releases of all the incredible debut crew books that are coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's been another real benefit to be able to support the debut crew this year as well. And we hope to keep doing it, don't we? With every debut crew that comes past. So hopefully debut crew 2026, we can roll on with the debut spotlights. But
absolutely, yeah.
Get in contact.
Yes, that's right.
It's never too early.
I'm sure there will be lots of keen picks. We actually, our Melbourne 2025 debut crew is catching up with the 2026 debut crew in Melbourne next month.
Wow.
Natasha's looking at me like, what?
I'm so jealous.
I have FOMO big time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's exciting. So Liana Shaw, I met Liana at an event I did with Anne Freeman, and Liana's the debut for next year. And we were just chatting, and we sort of thought, oh, it might be a nice idea now to actually talk now before things start getting really, really hectic. And if there's any advice that we can impart, then of course take that. But I think the crew, from the sounds of it, everyone I've spoken to for next year, they're really brilliant, and I'm so excited for next year. But we still have 5 months left of this year, so we've got lots more exciting titles to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. It'll never get old, that feeling, will it, of the debut?
No, that's right. And then, Tina, I think after your third book comes out this year, you can probably say you are no longer a debut author.
Yeah, probably. 3 books in. That's sad, isn't it? Alrighty. Well, I'm excited to go and revisit these interviews and quotes, some of our favourite quotes from the year that was. And who wants to go first?
Well, should
Natasha.
You go first, Tina? Oh, Natasha. Oh, gosh. Well, you've got 2 Natasha, so maybe you should.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, I'll go first. So I've picked these 2 interviews, or these 2 guests, for different reasons. So the first person I was thinking about is Zaheda Ghani. She is the author of Pomegranate and Fig, and that came out in 2023. So the reason I really love that interview was because she so generously gave so many beautiful tips around writing practice. And the one that blew my mind, even though everyone else seems to already do it, is her idea of setting intention for each time you sit down. So even if you decide you're going to use your writing time to research, it doesn't feel like you've wasted time or that you haven't written anything, because that was the intention. And there was just something, it sounds so simple, but there was just something so good about that it actually just changed my writing practice. Because I now sit down and have an intention, and if the intention is to research or to to do some reading in relation to what I'm working on, it still feels like progress. So that's what I really liked.
Don't you, when you are not progressing word count, where you think, well, I'm not progressing anything and I'm failing and I'm getting behind and stuck. But really, it's even if you're not on your laptop, even if it's just deciding to take half an hour to go for a walk and just think about the book.
Exactly. It just and word count is not the only measure. So and from there, this idea that if you write, you're a writer. There's no test or something you have to pass to qualify as a writer.
Well, should I play the quote?
Yes, please.
There isn't really a criteria for whether you're a writer or not. That kind of wanting to pass a gate or earning it as a right is not a thing. If we're writing because that's where we like to have our creative outlet, then we're a writer. It doesn't matter beyond that.
I like that.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Because, even meeting people who are writing, or, what we all did, writing in secret maybe, or writing and loving it but not being able to talk about it, it just makes me sad. So that's a beautiful message. If you write, you're a writer.
Yeah.
I think you have to overcome the shyness then too.
Mm-hmm.
When you are before the gate, the so-called gate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, what is that about? I don't know what that's about, but that was definitely me too. So, and I do wish that I didn't do that, because I feel like just all those years that I missed out on making connections, like I don't think I would have got published any sooner, because I still would have had to do the years of writing and everything, but I would have made connections sooner, just missed out on that community a little bit sooner. And, you know, maybe I actually would have got published a bit sooner because I would have spent more time, and because I would have recognize that, hey, you can actually do this. Why are you doing it in secret? Actually take the time now and put effort in now, maybe. So anyone who's listening who is writing in secret, get out there and get into the community. It's just, a step forward, hey. So Tash, but you had a second one, didn't you? You had 2 quotes because you found it hard to choose.
Yeah, I did find it hard to choose. So my second interview or guest is Shankari Chandran, the Miles Franklin winner. And so her book that won the Miles Franklin Award is Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens. So the reason I loved her words in that interview is that to have somebody of that, like to have that kind of success, because she's had 5 books out, I think. Yeah, it's 5. And to have won such a major literary prize, because in the interview she talks about how at one point she had given up. She'd given up on the idea of publication, but what she never gave up on was writing. And I love this idea that she says that she writes her everything, her feelings into it. She writes everything she's experiencing, because it resonated with me, because I feel I do that in my characters. Like I write things that I'm experiencing in the world. And I think a lot of writers do that. You know, I heard Hayley Scrivener say when she was asked about is one of the characters her, and she's like, you know, aren't we all in all of our characters? So that just spoke to me more about, you know, what we as writers put into our work, regardless of publication. So I just really loved the way she talks about what she puts into her writing.
It also astounded me that she felt like back sort of, it was like 10 years ago, she had to change a character, and turn it a white woman character. And that just, and then after, you know, all those years of having those rejections and just Chai Time came out of that. Well, I don't care. I don't think this is going to get published. I'm just going to write what I want to write for my family. And then that becomes, you know, this highly acclaimed piece of work that's won the Miles Franklin.
Exactly. And in so many ways, she's the trailblazer for people like me, because now I've written a book with a person of color as the main character, and everyone mainly in it. And no one thought anything weird about it, or no one said, oh, this is weird that there's, you know, a brown person in it. So she's a trailblazer.
It's well, hopefully in future Ultimo they've got the rights now, they can go and retract and have it the way it should have always been.
Exactly.
Such an interesting episode. I loved that, and it was a fantastic interview, Natasha.
Thank you. Yeah, I really loved having her on.
Everyone just take notes. I think the whole episode just take notes, but this is a great quote here. Okay, so if you're interested, go back to episode 36 for Shankari, and this is just a little taster.
But writing for me is incredibly therapeutic, and it's really part of that process of maintaining hope. I write a lot of my anger, frustration, my fears, my existential anxieties, my concerns about injustices. I work through a lot of that in my writing.
Love that.
It's very therapeutic.
Mm.
Do you find it therapeutic, Tina, writing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I write about what Shankari writes about with, you know, she's obviously coming, and that's very good, sort of deep and meaningful sort of, you know, fodder for her writing. So I feel for her that's, like she just said, it's therapy, right? It's probably more not so much therapy in the same sense, but it's a kind of more therapy as in almost for me like a mindfulness or a, you know, just like exercise is. I think it's just as important, right? Like it's exercising my mind and my brain, and I mean, it's something in there that needs to come out, and it's thoroughly enjoyable. So I literally have joy from it. Or get joy from it. So for me, it's important for my health, writing to keep myself sane, I think. Yeah. What about you guys?
It's cheaper than therapy, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure is.
But with the right therapist, it's totally worth the cost.
This is true. This is true. Writing won't fix everything, unfortunately, if only.
Sorry, I had to insert that.
Oh, no. And for those who don't know, Natasha is a counsellor therapist. So are we allowed to say that on air?
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Not a secret. Not a secret.
That's why when you listen to her episodes, you just feel so, relaxed and and
we should say
like you've just had your own session even. It's great.
Well, that's the great thing. Like we've got this, and for the listeners, we're very sorry that you're not part of this, but we have our own WhatsApp chat where we send each other voice memos throughout the day, pretty much every day. And it is kind of like your own personal therapy session, like because you just voiced all and I'm just going to quote Shankar here, anger, frustration, fears, existential anxieties, concerns about injustices. And really helpful. And I have to say, Natasha, when you respond, it is very calming. You have a very beautiful voice, I think.
Yes.
Very relaxing.
Thank you. Thank you.
See? I know I get excited when I see a little voicemail. Like, I see, there's a message and I open it up. And if it's a voicemail, I'm very excited.
We know, Tina, I've
left a few in my time.
And Tina always does her voice memos when she's in the car driving. So we always hear the tick, tick, tick.
Exactly. Yes. I love that, actually.
Because I'm constantly driving. Does it feel like I'm constantly driving? Well, they were great, Natasha. I agree. They were some of the best quotes of the year, I think.
So, Tina, what about you? What's your favourite moment in this year's podcast?
Now, I do have to say I found it really hard, and you girls made me choose just one, and it was very hard. So, but I decided to go with one. I have a couple of honourable mentions that I'll touch on just after we chat about this one.
Give us your honourable mentions.
No, I'm going to do them afterwards. I think they flow really well into yours, Madeleine. But so this one is from episode 12 of the Book Deal podcast, where I interviewed Catherine Collette, and lots of people will know Catherine Collette, podcast host for the First Time podcast and the Next Step podcast, and multi-published author as well. She does coaching, author coaching, and offers a whole heap of sort of helpful workshops and programs for authors. So, and I love her posts that she does on Instagram. Sometimes they're just so perfectly timed, and you read her words and you go, "That's exactly what I was feeling today." And she's just really raw and honest about publishing and authoring and writing, and sometimes it's practical, sometimes it's how to think, getting your mind in the right spot, things like that. So this one I thought was actually probably quite relevant to discussions that we've had recently. It's sort of almost back to our last discussion, Madeleine, where we were chatting about author disappointment, and sometimes that relates to sales of your book when you get your sales through, because you look at that as a measure of whether you've been successful or not, right?
Should I play the quote?
Yes, please.
To write better books and focus on the things that you can control. Sales is not a thing that you have any control over. But the measure of success that sales is a single measure of success, and it's one that you have no control over. I think it's a really crude measure of success, and there needs to be a much more nuanced, I suppose, way of thinking about how a book fares in the world. I think the emphasis on sales I see most in the debut author moment. It feels very pass or fail for debut authors. I think that really fades, and I think as you get an author further down the line, of course everyone wants every single book they write to be a bestseller and universally adored and all of those things, but down the line, people don't talk about sales so much. Whereas the debut experience, people think, if this does not sell well, my career is over.
Good
Just
one.
summed it up perfectly, didn't it? It's very much, a vibe that we're feeling at the moment. I mean, it's, Catherine's talking about debut authors, and we were chatting about I guess just how to navigate that debut time. And I asked her for advice on, for us as debuts and all everybody else in the debut crew, what's to be expected. And this is such a big thing, right? Once the glow of the debut experience is over, you've seen your book on the shelf and you've had your launch, and then, I guess reality sets in when it comes to getting sales figures, and can sometimes be a little bit unexpected for authors. And I think very much, I totally agree with Catherine. A lot of people do think, if it doesn't sell well, then my career's over, or take it to heart. But it isn't just sales that determines if you're going to be successful or not, or even if that book is going to be successful or not, and especially not in your debut year.
I have so many thoughts about this, and I think of course, sales is just one measure. I mean, everybody wants to be a bestseller, of course, and your publisher wants you to sell as well as you can. I think, though, if you've developed a really strong and good relationship with your publisher, sales becomes less of a thing, because the publisher sees all the investment they've put into you, and it has been a huge time investment on their part, and effort and energy to get your first book out. If it doesn't do so well, but if you've got that solid backing from your publisher, they see you as a career author. And I think that's the difference, isn't it? Because we've seen examples in the past of where authors have struck out on their second or their third book. But I do think there is a little bit of perhaps energy around the debuts. Like, you only debut once, and so publishers see this as a great opportunity to see what happens. And sometimes you get, and we've been talking about this, sometimes you get the backing, the financial backing, including in marketing and publicity, that publisher might give. And some books just don't have that much of that. And that's a decision that's made by the publisher. Again, it's completely out of your control. And so that can have a massive influence on sales too. And that's completely outside of your control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but on that as well, and I know we've been talking about this, the three of us, there's also a difference, I think, between a bigger publisher, like say the Big Five, to a mid or to a small publisher. And maybe, I don't know, this is true, it's just an impression, maybe a smaller publisher with fewer titles every year is more likely to take a risk, or take a chance on you and help you build that career, because they aren't looking, as you said, on that one book doing a certain way in the market. So there's that. And the other thing as well, just from my own experience, even if you don't get the full, fireworks and everything thrown at your book, nothing's stopping you from going out there and pitching yourself to places. And I think as long as you're having those conversations with your publicist and they know what you want to do, like, it's not like if they don't put everything they have behind your book, it's going to sink. Like, you definitely have agency over that part. You can definitely go out there and do what you can and what you feel comfortable with.
Because I think I suppose it's less publicity and more marketing. At least this is what I've observed over the last sort of 7 months watching all of our debuts launch. What marketing does, things like getting you better reading campaigns and good reading campaigns and putting you on NetGalley. And so, because that's all a cost to the publisher, having, like gift with purchase, things like that. Like, these are all costly things. That gives you that immediate push out, and obviously having stock in stores. But in the end, if you haven't written a good book, you'll get that immediate sales, but the word of mouth is not going to happen. And in the end, it is word of mouth that sells books.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like that was because I've had this conversation, we've been having this conversation for a little while, and I've definitely had conversations around this with other authors, like how did that debut just do so well, say, like some internationally best-selling, and I just think, how is that done? And we seem to just go around in circles and keep coming up with theories as to why. But I think what we always come back to is, well, the book has to be solid and has to be a good book and with longevity. And that's like, even if it is, you know, a bestseller straight out the gates, it's that longevity that you're actually after. You know, what good is it, you know, having all these sales straight out the gates because publicity's pushed it, but it's only short-lived and it doesn't get reprinted and, you know, I don't know, it just sort of fades away. You want something that's going to be around for a while and people are going to talk about for a while and want more from you. You know, I think most people want to write more than one book, don't they? Once they get published. So, yeah, it's that coming back to having a strong book and longevity.
Yeah, I agree.
Hi, I'm Billie Rooney, and my picture book, Creature Corridors, was published this year by CSIRO Publishing. With warm and vibrant illustrations by Anka Noack, this book is for all children, especially those who love animals and who want to find out more about how we can protect Australia's amazing wildlife. In a world where human development is taking over the spaces where wild creatures live, how can we make sure these animals still have spaces to move about safely? And what can we do to help? This is a book about wildlife corridors, those safe pathways that animals need when they go out searching for food or shelter. These can look like a simple row of trees or a bridge over a highway. What they have in common is that they connect habitats rather than divide them. From the kangaroo to the platypus, from small birds to the giant cassowary, and from Christmas Island crabs to the lizards who live in our own backyards, this book provides a hopeful message about how we can all play a part in looking after our environment. Creature Corridors is inspired by my love for nature and the outdoors. It is a wish for a world where animals and humans can thrive together on this beautiful and precious planet. Thank you to Tina and Madeleine for a chance to share this book with you on the Book Deal podcast.
I think every type of book is different. Like, obviously the kidlit space, Tina, is very different from adult fic in terms of what the publisher is going to do. Literary fiction is going to be different to your commercial rural crime, you know, outback noir book. And so every book is treated differently. And that's, I suppose, what publishers have to weigh up when they're looking at budgets and all sorts of things, because I mean, we all know this. There are so many books that are published each year. There's a huge breadth. And sometimes a book that doesn't have that much marketing behind it will do really spectacularly well. And that's fantastic for everybody. And sometimes the ones that do get all the marketing behind it don't do well. So it is kind of a bit of a gamble as well sometimes. It's not necessarily one equals therefore success. So
Exactly.
Yeah. Just write a good, strong book that you love and like go along for the ride, I think. And I don't know, I think that's the best way to tackle it.
That's right. And I think that having bookseller support too, I think is really crucial for getting to that bestseller level. That starts with, you know, getting your book in stores and out the front, which is really hard. So that's where the sales team comes into it. But, you know, my heart is filled with joy when I have booksellers say to me, "Oh, I've been hand selling this to customers." And there is nothing better than hand selling for an author, you know, because once your book hits after 2 months release, it goes to the shelf. It's not up front anymore. So your book's going to sit on the shelf, probably spine out, not face out. So to have a bookseller reach for your book and put that into the hands of a customer, that's the most important thing. How you craft those relationships with booksellers, well, that's also in your control, I think.
And join a debut crew, because they are very good at going into bookshops and turning your book face cover out whenever they're in there, regardless of how long it's been out for. So it's just like a little street team.
I literally hand sold. I've hand sold both your books, actually. So there you go. Not even a bookseller. It's a tough one. That's a tough conversation to have. But I think it's important, particularly for, I suppose, debut writers for next year to consider as well. And it's probably something I didn't really think about coming into this year, that you will start to see some people having different treatment across the book. And I think being aware of that early on is good, because it reduces the amount of, why is this person getting this, and the difference, I suppose, in it. And maybe it's a faux pas that we're talking about it and revealing the secrets of the publishing industry, but I think it's pretty obvious though.
But also I think it comes back to managing expectations, you know, if you see somebody else getting a lot of marketing budget and you get excited because you think that's what the norm is, that goes straight back to that idea of disappointment. So it's the best way to do it is to talk to your publisher and find out what the plan is for your book, and then find the gaps that you can fill.
Yes, and often the amount of money that is spent on those books might also come down to the advance that they've put aside for that book. And, you know, if it's a high advance, then the publisher wants to try and make sure that they're getting their money back as much as they can as well. So there is a very practical business side that is less about the quality of the book and you as an author, and perhaps more from a business perspective too. So
exactly. Yeah.
Important to know.
It is important to make those relationships, like you said, with booksellers. Madeleine, I was always one who was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, how do I just, you know, go into bookstores and I buy books. No one's really, I mean, I live somewhere where we don't have lots of small independents either. So I've always found it quite difficult going to the big ones and everyone's flat out and you just don't have a second to even chat to them. So I always found that interesting. And I think we're going to try and get a bookseller on in a few weeks who might be able to help and give us some advice for debuts on how to best go in there, how to approach. Don't go in on a Monday morning, I've heard.
Or lunchtime.
Or a Saturday or a Sunday, but
But even if you do, because I have done that before and I'm just like, I'm sorry, it's Saturday. And they're like, no, we're so happy you're here. So booksellers are generally lovely people. But yes, we will ask the official bookseller the appropriate protocols.
That was great. That was a great quote, great chat and great quote from Catherine. So I did, like I said, I had lots that I couldn't choose between though, but I did, and I chose Catherine. I thought that was a good one, but I have two honourable mentions and I'm actually going to read them out and I want you ladies to have a guess who the author is that said this quote, okay?
Testing our knowledge. It's like trivia, book deal.
Okay, trivia. I love trivia. I do trivia at all my book launches for anybody who is coming to any in the next Quick Brown Fox on the 2nd of August. If you'd like to come, there will be wildlife-themed trivia. Okay, but for now, all right. It was just this surreal fairy tale night and I was on a high for the rest of the day. So I got home, took my laxative and logged on for work at 8 a.m. the next day. Anyone want to have a guess?
Was it Madeleine Cleary?
Well done, Natasha.
Yay!
Yeah. I know. Look, it's hard to choose which one of the poo quotes I should have pulled out for Madeleine because we do, you know, we talk about tummy troubles sometimes on the pod.
When you
well, Madeleine does anyway.
You know, when I spoke about cringe, like looking back on episodes and cringing, all the episodes where I talked about taking laxatives and oh my gosh, I love that. Now, which episode was that from?
Episode 22, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have
That's
another
when
one.
I had the Author and Aperol fairy tale night.
Yeah.
And had to take laxative. Yeah.
A great story. A great story. Now, this is one from a very recent episode, actually, which I just laughed when I heard it. And I'm going to use this for today. Okay, ladies, who is this author? It's a short one. Ready? I was titillated.
Natasha.
Oh my god.
I laughed at that episode with Holly Brumbow so much. You were just like, I really loved the sex. Holly,
I think I was a bit over enthusiastic about how much I love the sex.
Well, you were titillated, Natasha.
I was titillated.
I think the quote was like, Holly was like, it wasn't, my intent wasn't to just titillate, readers. It was meant to be, and you're like, I was titillated.
Well, I was titillated. So it worked, Holly. Good work.
I actually was on my walk up the mountains, and I was like panting, and then that came in my ears, and I just like burst out laughing. Natasha's like crying with laughter, by the way, everybody. She can't.
I never knew those words were going to come back to haunt me.
Well, you should know by now, as does some of our other guests that we've had on the pod, that we do like to pull quotes out. Which leads me to Madeleine's.
That should have just been the quote of this week, actually. Just titillated.
I thought about actually doing a
point.
post. I was titillated, doing like little posts.
Well, Tina,
God.
I think next episode we're going to have to pull out one of your quotes, I reckon, because you've gotten both us back. So
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're my favourites. You told me to choose. It was hard.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, I'm just going to play this quote because, well, you both know which one it's going to be. And I think we kind of have to choose this one because it just set our socials afire alight. It just completely changed our serious podcast into something a little bit wild. All right, I'm just going to play it.
So horror could well be on its way back. And actually at this year's Brisbane Writers Festival, I was on a panel called What Publishers Want, and I was asked this question. And I kind of started talking about how the pendulum swings away and then comes back and that kind of stuff with publishing. And post-COVID, you know, we really swung away from the dark themes and the really, you know, dark novels in our society, and sort of horror was not going well. You know, cozy crime came into its own, had a little really good purple patch, lighthearted fiction, humor, all doing really well. But I don't know. I had this problem with the pendulum just going, like, being really rudimentary, backward and forward. So I kind of compared it to Granddad's balls, where they just kind of swing around. I don't think I'll be invited back to the Brisbane Writers Festival after that. It's probably true because, like, you know, it's not just one side to a net to the other; it's all over the shop. So Granddad's balls start to flop around a little bit.
We'd always invite you back to the pod, though, Samuel. It's okay.
So, for those who don't know, that is, don't know the episode, Samuel Bernard, we have two parts, and this is actually part two, our episode with literary agent Zeitgeist Agency, and also my agent after that as well. So I did warn Sam. I messaged him today and said, we're resurrecting Granddad's balls. Just
coming back.
It's coming back. I said, do you give me permission? And he's like, of course. So
it's such a good quote.
It's a great quote. And Tina and I actually watched the visual. I think I remember the visual, but I did see the video of us. And because Pat, my husband, said to me when I played this earlier today, he's like, why weren't you and Tina like laughing? I'm like, no, we were laughing, but we had our hands covering our face, trying not to just burst out laughing as soon as he said Granddad's balls.
Oh, I've had that quoted back to me so many times from people. It really has been a highlight.
It is a highlight. But I guess, you know, in all seriousness, it does make sense because I think we were talking about trying to write to trends, and it is hard to predict a trend and write to a trend, particularly because, you know, we all know publishing takes a few years once you get signed the contract. So you could be all in the cozy crime and writing cozy crime because you think that's going to be a bestseller, but then it's diverted to horror, you know, a few years later, and you've missed that trend. So you've got to write what I think the message is, you've got to write the things that you love. Like that's what you should be, and what you're passionate about. So there was some good solid advice behind that as well, which I loved. But I did want to actually talk too about getting an agent, because I don't think I ever revealed that on the podcast as well.
No, I don't think you did. So yeah, that would be really good if you could chat everybody through, because that's what a lot of people are, you know, wanting advice on.
Yes. And actually when we interviewed Sam, so this was last year, I think, Samuel, Samuel wasn't my agent back then, and we had been chatting for a while, and so I'd asked him onto the podcast, and you know we'd sort of talked about what I've been writing, and he had read a little bit about it, and yeah, after the podcast I was asking him for some advice about approaching agents, like looking for an agent, and I actually didn't think he was interested in sort of, you know, signing me, but I just sort of said, I'm doing some pitching sessions with a couple of agents. What do you think? Like, do you have any advice? And he actually came back to me like, I think it was like a few hours later, and he's like, I'll sign you. That's how it came about. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, really? I was like, are you serious? Because I think you sort of just messaged me, and I said, yeah, I'm really keen. I really, really love your writing and your book. And because I sort of hadn't decided whether I was going to get an agent or not. And then, I was like, no, I really want to do it. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll sign you up. But at the time we couldn't announce it because, well, and also he had said, after we did the podcast, he's like, I really thought that, you've got a lot behind you, and you've got, you're building a good profile in the community, in the writing industry. So he'd sort of watched me do that over that year. And that was quite interesting because it's not just about the writing, it's also about like what you're doing around that too. And so, yeah, I really actually have the podcast, I think, to thank for getting an agent. I reckon.
I'm sure it's your writing, Madeleine, but yes, the podcast probably helps. But yeah, that's it. Connection is such a big thing. Hey, we've had these discussions before about connection, and I think that's how I definitely helped me sign as well with my publisher, was making connections with her. But you don't, like, just in case anybody hasn't listened to episodes before, you don't need an agent in Australia, and you don't need a podcast. So, you hear people talk about having a platform, and, definitely having a podcast gives you a platform. But prior to that, it's hard, like, to gain a platform, really. And I guess unless you can organically do it, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I spent years wondering how you could ever do that, but you don't need a platform to be signed either. It does all come back to the writing. But did you want to talk a little bit about what it's done for you, though, having an agent, and how it's helped you?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, absolutely. You do not need an agent. I spent a few months thinking about whether I should or not, because I've already got such an awesome relationship with my publisher, and I didn't need that. But what I decided was that I'm looking for a long-term career in writing, and I really wanted clear, strategic advice. And also that editorial support, and Zeitgeist agency they're one of the few agencies that offer editorial as well. Just because I've never done any writing courses or gone to uni to do writing, it's a very organic thing. And I think anything you can to improve your writing and get some good advice about next steps. I'd written as well a contemporary fiction novel. And so it was quite different to my historical fiction. And so I wasn't sure what to do with that as well, whether that should be my next. So that's where an agent can come in and sort of give you advice about your career and what to do. And so it's funny, though, because the timing last year when Sam signed me with Zeitgeist, we couldn't announce it for months because as soon as he signed me, he said, I said, by the way, I've applied for the Australian Fiction Prize. I've submitted my manuscript. I hadn't heard anything at that stage, but I knew he was a judge, and he didn't know I'd applied. He hadn't reviewed or seen any of the manuscripts, and they don't receive that. They only get the shortlisted ones, and so HarperCollins do the shortlisting for that. So I just wanted to let him know. I'm like, hey, and so he let them know immediately. And when he got the shortlist sent to him, so this is after he'd signed me, my name was on the shortlist. And so he was like, oh, people are going to think I've, if we announce it, like there's going to be conflict of interest. And he was, very professional and removed himself from all of that, the judging of my work and everything. So yeah, by the time we could announce it, 5 months had gone by, and I'm like, well, I just didn't want to, felt like it's gone.
Felt like it was over, yeah. And that's not unusual, is it? And for various reasons, you're told to sort of just hold for a bit, and people are sitting there with this awesome information, and that they just want to get out. So, but
yes, and Sam, like Zeitgeist are amazing, and Sam's been fantastic and I know that it was absolutely the right decision. Mm-hmm. And I think, that's helped me decide the direction as well. And I'm really keen on historic writing and historical fiction, and staying with a firm, and sort of, becoming as much as I can, a long-term career, as much as I, will continue to be in that sort of space. So, and it's just, I guess it is also nice to have someone in your corner who is in your corner. That's been the other benefit. having said all that, you do not need an agent. You can also get a coach, Catherine Collette's coaching. I've actually just started a little coaching thing as well. I haven't advertised it. I'm just taking, like, I've got a few clients now who are just doing very select stuff. But, because I think coaching, it is helpful to have someone in your corner. So, and I think there will be a few debut writers who might be looking at doing some coaching as well for next year's crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important because you do feel a little bit on your own, don't you? Yes. I don't have an agent. Natasha doesn't have an agent either.
No, I don't have an agent.
No, and you do. Sometimes it's nice. It's nice to be able to just chat straight to your publishers, which you can do anyway when you still have an agent. But they deal with other things with your publisher. But it's sometimes, like you just said, with your career. The sort of that bigger picture stuff, not just your next deal, like your bigger picture stuff. It's nice to have someone who knows the industry, knows what's happening and can guide on that. So I see definite benefits in that as well.
Yeah. And it's a decision that everyone should think about because, of course, there is a cost element too. Like your agent doesn't work for free. They take 15%, which is also really useful to know when you're thinking about it. But I think if you are an emerging writer and looking to submit, it is worthwhile testing the waters with a few agents to see their level of interest because it's better, I think, to approach agents first. And if you're getting all no's, then perhaps it gives you a bit of, a suggestion.
That's when you get a coach to help you with your practical writing.
That's right.
Happy to coach anyone on how to story grid their work.
Actually,
I can turn your story into an Excel spreadsheet. Oh, Madeleine. Guys, Madeleine's coming around to the spreadsheet.
Oh, Madeleine, you can't.
There's an episode in this. Please just let me do it. I'll do it for free. Yes, so that's where a coach does come in as well, And I just want to say, before we wrap it up as well, that ways of getting in front of agents can be just as hard to get in front of an agent as can to a publisher, but take advantage of pitch sessions and, conferences and events that offer assessments. Great way of getting your work in front of agents and publishers. And you may have to pay, but some really good things can come out of that. It's getting in front of them and they're reading it. And that's the first step, everyone.
Exactly. And that feedback is so valuable. And particularly like the CYA, or you'll have to wait another year for CYA, I think, after this comes out.
Yeah. Next week, this weekend is the actual conference. So
perfect. But the ASA do their quarterly pitch sessions as well. So do sign up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, well.
Granddad's balls, pendulum swings.
Balls.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very titillating, Madeleine.
Is it? Granddad's balls titillating?
I'm not getting involved in this bit.
Are you titillated, Natasha, by this conversation?
Actually, no, not with Granddad's balls, no.
Not now. Not anymore. Oh, anyway, it was so lovely to chat to you ladies all together. And congratulations on 1 year of the Book Deal podcast.
Yes, congratulations. You two set up an amazing podcast. You should be very proud.
It's all Tina. Tina has been at the helm of this ship, guiding us through the crazy waters. So thank you, Tina, all your podcast research, information, voice memos, ideas, suggestions. It's amazing.
Team effort, ladies. And look forward to another wonderful year of podcasting and interviewing. It's so fun. Isn't it fun?
So fun.
And if you want story grid coaching, go to Tina.
DM me.
Services are up.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Book Deal podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the pod so you can receive updates as soon as our new eps drop. And to keep up to date with what the pod is doing, you can also find us on Instagram.